Hi, I'm Ron Hoffman.
And I'm Barbara Gomes.
We would like to share with all of you some thoughts concerning our many years as members of St. John's UU. Barbara will begin.
I'd like to start by sharing with you how I was introduced to the Unitarian Universalist community and why it has become a meaningful and essential part of my life. Raised a Roman Catholic, I became disillusioned with the Catholic Church and religion in general in my early 20s. Later in my mid-20s, my first husband and I had the opportunity to live and work in Switzerland for 2 years. This experience broadened my worldview and I believe kindled a change in the values that I now hold. Coming to Cincinnati directly from our overseas experience was quite a cultural shock. I struggled to find a community where I would find kindred souls. As a stay-at-home mother of a toddler, I had limited opportunities to expand my circle of friends. Fortunately, through volunteering with the League of Women Voters, I met a woman with small children, and she invited me to start some play dates with her children. And while we were watching the children play, she very subtly began a campaign to encourage me to attend her church, First Unitarian. I still remember my first impressions at the First Unitarian Church. The group was welcoming, warm, and more important, accepted me as I was, very different from my very loving Italian Catholic relatives in the Boston area who just could not understand who I had become. I still believe 50 years later that some of these same relatives affectionately considered me be the black sheep of the family. I hasten to add that the Portuguese side, my father's side of the family, has a much broader outlook on life. To this day, I still feel that UU communities in general are very welcoming and supportive places. I have very good memories of my 20 plus years at First Church. But in 1989, I switched from First Church to St. John's. In hindsight, I believe in part I probably just needed a fresh start after my divorce. St. John's offered me many opportunities for fellowship outside of the service. I still fondly remember my first holiday potlucks and other activities that quickly helped me to become part of the St. John's community. I also joined the choir at the urging of other choir members, even though I had not sung in over 30 years since high school. With a change in my life, what a change in my life this has made. Choral music and the choral community have become both a spiritual and educational experience for me. I will always remember one choral performance at St. John's, which was intended as a celebration of the LGBTQ community. By learning the music and understanding the words behind the text, behind the words, I gained a glimpse into this segment of our society, and more broadly about the LGBTQ life in this country. I felt very fortunate to have gained this insight, which probably would not have occurred without this UU musical experience. Many things have changed since I joined St. John's 30 years ago, but one constant is that St. John's is a welcoming, warm, and compassionate community that I am proud to call my spiritual home. Ron?
Thank you, Barbara. Let me begin with a very simple idea: the meaning of life. I haven't had a myriad of insights into what some people like to call the meaning of life. In fact, I have come to realize that actively searching for this elusive bauble of existence is futility at best and bitter disappointment at worst. Let me tell you a story. I think I've told some of you this before, and it's a true story. In the 1980s, I was director of media services at the College of Education, Kansas State University. And one of my jobs was to go out and take photographs of schools and interiors of school students, etc. And I once had the assignment of going to some small Kansas towns and as I say, take pictures in the classrooms. Well, I'm in this one school and it was late in the day and the students had already gone home. And but I was in one of the classrooms taking pictures, and I suddenly noticed on the blackboard were the words "the meaning of life." Well, naturally, I got very excited. And when the teacher walked into the room, I said to her, "Ma'am, can you tell me what this is all about?" And she looked at me somewhat disdainfully, and she said, "We talked about that yesterday." So I missed it by one day. Well, so I learned that particular day that finding the meaning of life was not as simple a matter as I had thought. But what I have found since then is that trying to live a meaningful life involves being open to discovery, being willing to experience new aspects of existence that we never anticipated, and be willing to accept them for what they are, joyful or somber, rich or lean. No matter what kind of experiences we have as we live our lives, the important thing is how we are able to see how they fit into some larger pattern of existence, both our personal existence and existence with a capital E. My so-called discovery of St. John's was pure happenstance. A friend invited me to attend a choral concert at St. John's. After the concert, I met a lovely woman who is standing near me at the present moment. And because of Barbara, I began to attend St. John's on a regular basis, eventually becoming a member of the church, of the choir, and I became involved in other church-related activities as well. And it was only later, even years later, that I realized how my life had changed because of being a member of this church. I learned about the importance of community in my life, of making friends and acquaintances who enriched my existence, and yes, challenged some of my preconceptions about other human beings and about what it means to share my life with others. Since childhood, I have always been a lover of music, and joining St. John's Choir has become not just a joyful and sometimes challenging set of musical experiences, but a great expansion of what has always been one of the most essential aspects of my spiritual self. Yes, I use the word spiritual. And yes, I am an atheist. But my 38 plus years at St. John's has taught me that the realm of the spiritual is far more than some set of doctrines and the belief in some invisible mother-father figure. I now realize that the spiritual is about being a part of a community of people who share values of what it means to be decent and compassionate human beings, who share the belief in the importance of working toward the achievement of justice and caring for all people, and indeed for all the wondrous multiplicity of life on this fragile planet. And of course, music. That has always been a spiritual force in my life, but one that has taken on a special richness here at St. John's. One that I would never have anticipated in that earlier phase of my existence when the meaning of life was merely words on a blackboard.
So thank you everyone for listening to us and enjoy the rest of your day.